Hi, One Best PR Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. This is our daily MLB pitching preview show that we do with Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com. Right now we're looking at the card for Friday, June 5th. Joe Duffy, you give us a lot of very valuable advice looking ahead to pitching matchups in these calls at your website where you actually make your picks, your final picks. How are things going so far this year in baseball? Profitable?
Well, it sounds cliche, but I always say, because it's true, the winning streaks always outnumber and outlast the losing streaks, and that has definitely been the case this year, at least as we file this. And so, some of them we record a day or two in advance. But as I do talk to you, we are sizzling hot, especially with our wise guy plays and underdog. So, yes, it's been another great year as I enter year 28 as a professional handicapper.
Okay, well, let's start out by asking you what to expect from Jared Weaver on the road at the Yankees. His last start at home was pretty good again for Jared Weaver. He had a great May, ERA under 3, good strikeout to walk ratio, not too many home runs. What do we expect from Jared Weaver in June? And his first start here comes on the road against the Yankees.
I would say, look, Weaver, he has stuck around for a long time because he's a quality pitcher, and I know that a lot of people were writing his obituary, at least from a career standpoint, that is, his career obituary when he started struggling early, but he's bounced back. I would say keep riding him. He's got a proven track record, and look, just because he's not in his prime anymore, we talked about in a couple of our last reports guys like Aaron Harang and some other pitchers, the guy in Pittsburgh who a lot of people, A.J. Burnett, who a lot of people have written off, and they just show why they've been able to stick around for quite some time. And I think Weaver is one of those guys who just continues to find a way to get out. So I would continue to ride him. All
right, so you don't think he's going to maybe get crushed here against the Yankees? That's what I'm smelling. But I've also bet against him a few times in May and got burned.
Yeah, it's obviously a possibility, but no, I think the key indicators say that he's pitching quite well and probably a guy to keep riding. But, whether or not I'm definitely going to go with him after I look at all the metrics remains to be seen. But I would lean towards going with him at this point.
Okay, and then Tim Lincecum starts at Philadelphia, and we know that Lincecum has started to develop some strong home road splits where he struggles on the road, although in his last start he struggled even at home. The question is just, though, does Philadelphia have the lineup to push Lincecum, or will he maybe catch a break here?
Well, Lincecum was one of these guys that I said, look, ride him while he's hot, but we've seen this movie before in recent years where Lincecum goes about 5 or 6 starts where he looks like the Tim Lincecum of old, and then, we finally see that he's a so-so starter at this point. And now that Lincecum is starting to fade a little bit, I say, if anything, he's a pitcher to go against. The big problem is he's going against Jerome Williams, a guy who has struggled mightily. So I think, if anything, expect a very high-scoring game here, and if my early check mark would certainly be next to the over.
Okay, and then let me ask you about Kyle Loesch, right? In general, an ugly season. This on Friday is going to be on the road at Minnesota, an offense that has been productive this year, can be dangerous. He had a couple of good road starts, though, at Detroit and at the Mets. Then he came home and got crushed 2 starts in a row. Now he's on the road at Minnesota. Is he going to get crushed again here?
Yeah, we've been talking about Kyle Loesch all year. He's a very mediocre pitcher. Look, when you're talking about number 4 and 5 starters, sometimes you're going to have to deal with some mediocrity. And at this point, I see no reason to go with Loesch. He seems to be, I don't really use the term auto fade, but he's at least one of those guys that you automatically have to look to fade and dig deeper. And at this point, I'm certainly not a Kyle Loesch fan, so I'd expect him to get slapped around again.
All right, then an interesting matchup. Charlie Morton and Williams Perez, Pittsburgh at Atlanta. 2 sinker ballers who have had excellent starts every time out so far in a handful of starts this year. The question is, are both likely to once again be good? And if not, which one is more likely to have an off start here? Which one is less likely?
I know a lot of people, when they look at these so-called advanced metrics, they love the fact that Morton's been getting a lot of ground balls. To tell you the truth, I think one of the biggest mistakes a couple years ago when I went into a little bit of slump, I was outsmarting myself and I started becoming obsessed with these fly ball, ground ball ratios and found out they're not really the precursor that some people thought. But for those people who believe in that, Morton has pitched well, and he's been getting a lot of ground balls, which is a statistic that a lot of people do like. And so if anything, yeah, I do think that Morton's a pretty solid pitcher at this point, and I would probably lean towards going with him.
You're not a buyer then on Williams Perez, because he's been great in his 2 starts as well.
Yeah, it might be a game that because, look, you're not going to get that low of a total because they're not two big-name pitchers. It might be a chance to lean towards the under.
All right, and then one game where I'm thinking maybe we'll see an over is Houston at Toronto, Roberto Hernandez and Aaron Sanchez. And you were talking about, kind of advanced metrics. Aaron Sanchez has kind of been getting it done just purely in terms of runs and ERA, but his strikeout to walk ratio and his home run numbers are looking pretty bad. And on the other side, Roberto Hernandez doesn't appear to be that much better. What will the total be here? I guess it's probably going to be 9.5, but maybe even at 9.5, we want to look to the over. Are both these guys going to get crushed?
Well, Sanchez is one of those guys, though, that has, fairly compelling splits. He's pitched pretty well at home, a 2.84 home ERA, and again, according to those, with how Major League Baseball defines a quality start, he's actually tossed 3 straight quality starts. So I think with Sanchez pitching pretty well at home, and for him, being at least half decent with a 3.15 ERA over his last 3, I would probably lean a little bit more towards Sanchez. I don't know if Sanchez is going to get roughed up that much here, but, Hernandez, on the other hand, maybe so. So I would give the advantage to the team north of the border.
Thanks for your thoughts, Joe. And is there anything else from the Friday card that you want to call to our attention?
Well, at least as of right now, it looks like John Neese will probably be pitching for the Mets. He's just gotten pounded in his last 4 starts, and I think he is a guy to fade. And keep an eye on, J.A. Happ, a veteran, got off to a very good start in Seattle. Maybe a slow regression to the mean. He's still pitched, good enough to be a major league pitcher, but in his last 4 starts, he's got a 4.50 ERA, and that was after. But then again, he still pitched better at home. So again, if anything, in the case of Happ, I would probably look to start fading him, although maybe not so much at home because he has still pitched his best at home. But I don't think I would bet on Happ at this point because he was a decent journeyman pitcher who was overachieving, and now I think he's kind of pitching more at his level.
And then, he's going up against Odorizzi, who, Seattle has a pretty productive lineup this year, but at home, you got to figure Odorizzi's poised for probably a good start.
That's true. He's going up against a very good pitcher indeed. And, Odorizzi, over his last 3 outings has a 3.32 ERA, so that's pretty typical of him. So I would definitely put the check mark in the Tampa Bay column there because I do think that Happ is starting to tail off a little bit, but again, not exactly to the point where, I'm going to jump on fading him. I might, maybe his next road start, I probably will, but I would still give the pitching advantage to Tampa.
Okay, Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com. Thanks so much.